Have you ever looked at a medical bill and thought, there's no way this can be right? Well, you're not alone. In fact, millions of Americans struggle to understand healthcare costs, insurance claims, and the endless paperwork that comes along with medical care. Welcome back to Jacksonville's Retirement Coach. I'm here with our host, Adam Wolf, and we actually have a very special guest joining us today. Mary Daniel is a board-certified patient advocate and founder of Daniel Advocacy Group, and we are diving into this subject that affects so very many people. But before we do, a warm welcome to both of you. How are you?
Very good. It's great to be here. Thank you.
Doing well. Thank you.
Adam, I'm going to let you jump right in on this because Mary is someone that you and your company, you have worked, you now have a relationship with, you have sent clients her way to help. But I think maybe start at the beginning with how you met and the relationship from there.
We were introduced by a mutual friend. I didn't really realize how much of an advocate Mary is for people when it comes to, not just the healthcare arena, but medical billing and really the story behind her and her husband and how it just tugged at my heartstrings. And that doesn't happen that often, like I'm one of those people, hey, I don't cry. If I see a tear coming, it's because the wind was blowing real hard, and I suck it right back up. But Mary's story of how she, got involved in this patient advocacy field and patient advocacy for the state of Florida, not just Florida, but the United States, is helping and has helped a lot of people. I mean, I'm talking about a tremendous amount of people. So we've had her in and we've had her, come in and speak to our group here. So I wanted to get it out to the broader waves so more folks could hear this message. And so, my first question to you, Mary, obviously, before the questions, thank you for doing this and spending your time out of your busy schedule to do this. But also, how I know the story behind it, but how did you become this quote unquote patient advocate?
Thank you, by the way, Adam. I'm pleased to be here and to be able to share my story and how we help so many and how we can help so many still out there who find themselves overwhelmed in this journey of healthcare as it is today. I have been a caregiver as long as I can remember. My mother was a caregiver. We took care of all of our family members, her mother, her best friend, my in-laws. Both of my parents have now passed. And so caregiving is just something that I've always known and a responsibility that I've always gladly accepted. I became a patient advocate after I realized my own husband needed a caregiver. He was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 2013 at the age of 59. And after a couple years of that diagnosis, I realized I needed to come home. I was an administrator for a medical practice, which I did for about 30 years. So that gave me a lot of insight into not only medical billing. I started my very first job out of college was for a plastic surgeon as his medical biller, and then went on to actually run that practice, ran a number of other plastic surgery practices, and ended my career running my brother-in-law's pediatric practice for 10 years. So great insight into the medical system, the navigation through the medical system, and medical billing. And I realized actually we were involved with a program at Mayo Clinic, and I received a bill for $3,000 that we did not owe. I knew we didn't owe it. And I had to fight to get it removed, which it took me several months. And I realized there are people out there that are getting bills just like this that they don't owe that they're paying. Because number one, they don't have the insight to know how to do it. They don't know the system. They don't know how to fight back. And nor do they have the energy or the desire to learn that system of how to do that. And so I started my first advocacy company back in 2016 when I came home to take care of Steve and do the work from home.
Can I tag team on this one? Because you're being so very modest, Mary. I had the opportunity to chat with you a little bit yesterday before recording today, and you actually became viral unexpectedly, did you not? Would you jump into that story a little bit? Because I think not only does your professional experience speak to your reasoning behind what you do, but you have a very personal story that drove you to the direction that you have taken your advocacy.
That is true. I was always an advocate for my husband. I mean, certainly, as I mentioned, other family members as well. But when I was home taking care of him, the business was growing, and I made the hardest decision that I ever had to make, and that was placing him in a memory care center. And I did that in July of 2019. he thrived. He loved it. He was a salesman and loved being around people. It's why he was a good salesman. He was great in building relationships, and he loved it there. He had a seat at the front desk, literally his own chair. He greeted everybody when they came in the door. He had his own name tag. He thought he worked there. And so it was a wonderful situation. I would work during the day, and I would then go in to see him. We would have dinner together, take him to his room. We would watch television, the same shows we watched at home. And when he went to sleep, I would leave and I would come back the very next day and do the same thing. I did that on March 11th of 2020. And on March 12th, they called me and said, you can't come back. We're locked down. And I immediately called the corporate office. This is not going to work for me. I told them I need to be there with him. I promised him I would be there with him. And the days turned to weeks and the weeks turned to months. And I started getting very vocal about what I was seeing, the isolation of so many people in these long-term care facilities and what it was doing to them. The decline, our hashtag became isolation kills too. We're separating these people to save their lives, but they were dying from failure to thrive because they were giving up on life. If they had no one to visit them, no one to hug them, no one to be with them, then there was really no purpose for them to continue to live. And they were dying of that, not COVID. So many of them, obviously, we understand that COVID was real. No one is trying to dismiss any of that, but the isolation also kills people too. So I got a job as a dishwasher at his facility, and that's what went viral very unexpectedly. And my advocacy really took off from there. I started a group because I was getting all kinds of phone calls from media, but from people who were saying, how do I do this? I want to be able to be in and be with my loved one. So we started a group called Caregivers for Compromise. It's a Facebook group, has 15,000 members nationwide. And then we decided, well, every state's different, every law in every state's different. So we started a group in every single state, which was a bit cumbersome to get that up and running, but we did. And I'm proud to say here we are 6 years later, we have laws in 19 different states, including the state of Florida. I was very blessed. Part of my work was to get to the governor. I felt like I needed to speak with the governor and tell him exactly what was going on. I'm in Florida. The governor, Ron DeSantis, he met with me. My first shift as a dishwasher was July the 3rd. He met with me on August the 1st of 2020. And I sat across from him and I said very simply, why am I allowed to touch my husband as a dishwasher, but I'm not allowed to touch him as his wife? And he said, I don't know, but we're going to fix that. And so he appointed me to a task force to reopen long-term care facilities. We did open up in September the 1st in the state of Florida. And then I was able to work with his office quite extensively on a bill called the No Patient Left Alone bill that we now have in Florida. It was signed into law in 2022. Which guarantees that everybody in a hospital or long-term care facility, if we ever have a lockdown again, will always have the right to have at least one essential caregiver who will be allowed in following the same safety protocols as staff. We have 19 states that now have laws very similar to that I'm extremely proud of. Our team of just regular old grassroots caregivers who wanted to get back to their loved ones have helped with those 19 states. And we currently have a federal bill. The Essential Caregiver Act is in the House of Representatives and in the Senate right now. It's a bicameral, bipartisan bill. We have support from both sides. We've just gotten through the House and the Ways and Means Committee. We are hoping to get into the Energy and Commerce Committee later this month. And we believe that there is a very good chance that we will have this bill signed into law later this year. So my little advocacy has unexpectedly turned into something that I'm incredibly proud of. And all of the people that I have worked with across these states that were all strangers. We didn't know each other. And all of a sudden we have formed a bond with each other and are doing amazing things. So it's been quite the journey.
Absolutely incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah, unbelievable. I especially with the update on the Essential Caregiver Act, Mary. So congratulations on that. Anytime you can get anybody in, or both sides of the aisle to agree on something, it's huge because it never
it's a mess up there. So
happens. So.
Yes,
and you've made trips up there, and you said, hey, you know what? Are you going back anytime soon?
We may be back in the 1st of September. We were there for a week in June, 1st of June, knocking on doors, talking to folks, getting it, hoping to get it to the Ways and Means Committee. I mean, we've learned so much about, again, I'm a caregiver. I don't know anything about all of this. And so we are learning so much about this process, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And there's a lot of ugly. But we're forging on. They've tried to change the language of the bill. They took out in-person visitation at one point, and we jumped up and down and, we're screaming and hollering, no, that's not going to work for us. We have to be able to be that's the point, is to be in person. So we're continuing to fight that. Right now we're working on some language. They say there is a 7-day window that a facility could close, but end of life. If there's end of life as an issue, we're allowed to go in. But defining end of life is not as easy as you might think. They say, the bill says hospice, you have to be on hospice. We're not happy with that. There are many people who have a stroke or a sudden heart attack that can be end of life without having the time to engage hospice. So that's not good enough for us. So we will win this battle. I'm certain of it. But we're going to keep pushing until we can do it. And so it's been extremely empowering to all of us to know that when you believe in something, most of us, our family members already died. My husband passed away in December of 22. So this is not for him. It's not for us. It may be for me one day. I'm certainly realized that, this was never in our plan. We did have a plan and this was not part of it. So you never know what's coming down the pike. And we want to be sure. Everybody says, it's never going to happen again. It's never going to happen again. And, the whole Fauci testimony in the last couple of weeks has been helpful to us, only in that it's a reminder of what it was like. We've kind of filed it away, and seeing that again and remembering what all of that was like has been good for the bill, because it makes people remember it was bad enough that even if it doesn't happen again, we need this here to protect our elders in these long-term care facilities who need us and do not deserve to die alone.
Exactly. And just one point of clarification, because most of our, listeners and most of my clients are here in Florida, is the No Patient Left Alone Act. Is that for just, pandemics or medical types of situations? Or is that, hey, you know what? We have a hurricane come in,
Correct.
Will a caregiver be allowed into the facility?
Absolutely. Any emergency, state emergency that would shut down these facilities from visitation. A hurricane is a perfect example. In this past winter, we had a lot of states north of us that had all kinds of ice storms and that kind of thing, and places shut down. So it doesn't matter the emergency we tease. It could be the, apocalypse, whatever it is, zombies, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is. Not that long ago, we had a facility in New Smyrna Beach that shut down because of an outbreak of scabies. Well, that's never been done before. You can't do it. You cannot shut us out simply because you don't want us in there, because it may be more convenient. There are people who need us and who need to be with their loved ones every single day. It's the only thing they live for. So shutting us out and removing that ability to hug them, to touch them, to speak with them, is just absolutely barbaric. And thankfully, in the state of Florida, that will never happen again.
You mentioned, obviously, your husband was in a long-term care facility, a memory care facility, and Adam and I have the conversation all the time about the importance of planning for the unexpected. When you hear things like 7 out of 10 families are going to need or be impacted by some sort of long-term care event, whether it's in the home, as you did, being the caregiver and having to juggle working and caring for your husband, or then making the decision to have them in long-term care. You mentioned when we talked earlier that you didn't necessarily have a plan, and a lot of that came out of pocket, which is part of what led you to want to combine the two pieces and helping people understand the medical bills and make sure that they're not spending money where they shouldn't be. You mentioned the Mayo Clinic, that $3,000 bill. You knew better. How are you partnering with Adam to sort of bridge those two pieces, where Adam is helping people on the financial side and have their plan in place and hopefully something to cover a long-term care event, but you're coming alongside and joining that and making sure they're not spending unnecessary money?
I love working with Adam and his clients because they're in the prime time of of getting all of their affairs in order. And part of that is obviously the paperwork that comes along with this, with the living wills and the healthcare surrogate and a long-term care insurance. We did not have long-term care insurance. The thought never crossed my mind. Steve was 59 at the time, and it was just not anything that had ever been presented to me. So the value of long-term care insurance, it's difficult. Steve was 9 years older than me. He was 69 when he died. He spent 3.5 years in a long-term care facility at $5,400 a month that came out of pocket. I mean, that was a big hit to our retirement. And so I'm living with that now, of working around that and figuring all of that out when it's so simple. I have a client right now. In fact, this morning I was just looking at in South Florida, they have the mother lives with this family. They have 60 hours a week. They have a caregiver come into the home for 60 hours a week, and every dime of it is paid for by her long-term care insurance. I mean, wow. What a gift. And she's been receiving it 5 or 6 years. So we're talking about a huge amount of money. Now, people can do it. We always do. We can, we manage it. But the ability to have somebody come in the house and bathe her and cook her meals and help her while they live their life, the son and his wife and their child, they're there to be her support, to love on her, to do things with her. They don't have to worry about that care part of it, which can be so difficult. And that's really such a huge part of the exhausting part for families, of having to work their normal lives and try to live their normal lives while still having that responsibility of having taken care of someone. So getting those affairs in order, discussing all of these things with family members, so incredibly important. A huge gift to your family to be able to put all of those things in place and have these conversations, difficult conversations sometimes, sure. But reality. This is the reality. This is the world that we live in, and this is what we can expect. And the better that we're prepared for it early, the better experience it's going to be for everybody. And that's what Adam is able to do with his clients, and I'm able to help.
Well, thank you, Mary. I mean, from the, Daniel Advocacy Group, on a day-to-day basis, you're helping folks navigate the healthcare system and the billing system, being an advocate for your clients, but going into a little bit more detail of what you guys are doing, like day-to-day basis to help people and, how your business runs.
So the Daniel Advocacy Group is wonderful in that we have a wide range of specialists. So for example, I got a referral this morning when I opened my email. I had an email from a national organization that has a directory that I got a referral. Spoke to the woman. I was running a little behind this morning because I was speaking to the daughter of a gentleman, 88 years old, fell and broke his hip. He's now in St. Vincent's. They want to move him to a rehab facility long before they believe he's ready to be moved from the hospital. So I call Al Bagocious, who is my senior care advocate. He is on his way over to the hospital right now to evaluate where we are, talk to the gentleman who is of sound mind. And until this fall and this break, he was perfectly healthy, and talk about the options with him, with the hospital staff, with the social worker there at the hospital to determine, is this the best move and how can we help facilitate him getting the quality care that he needs. So that's the kind of thing that we can jump into right away. As I said, this younger couple that is in South Florida to be able to, right now I'm looking I believe, I emailed her yesterday, said, did you realize the home health company has raised your rate from $32 an hour to $33 an hour this morning at 60 hours a week that the long-term care is paying for. This morning I did a lot of research thanks to ChatGPT on what is the average cost of that area, of that zip code for home health, and they are way over what most are. So I'm going to negotiate that rate down for them so that they're getting a fair price. I mean, this company's been providing this service to them for 5, 6, 7 years, something like that, and have had a windfall. And they're raising the rate. Didn't even notify anybody that they have raised the rate $1 an hour over the last for 60 hours a week. So I'm going to go in. In fact, when I spoke to the daughter-in-law, she said, "You'll do that so I don't have to." I said, that's exactly what I'll do. I'll do that so you don't have to. So let me go in there and say, "Hey guys, I mean, this this is a pretty loyal customer. This is somebody who you've been cashing in hundreds of thousands of dollars through the years. And so I think they need a discount off of what they've been paying, not additional money off of what they've been paying. So those are the kinds of things on a day-to-day basis where people are overwhelmed with medical bills. I just had somebody, a new client from South Georgia, St. Simon, sent me 60 pages of medical bills that have been just piling up, you know, on the side in the corner of the dining room where just put it there, just put it there, just put it there. And so don't organize them. I don't need you to organize them. Just give them to me. Let me go through them. Let me start auditing them. Are they correct? Do they need to be paid? Are they incorrect? What needs to happen to get these things taken care of? So on an everyday basis, I'm finding new things. And that's really for us where the fun comes in. I have a client who just got some surgery at UF Health and they got $1,000 bill that they don't owe. They simply don't owe it. And Aetna got on the phone with Aetna. Aetna called them, told them, nope, they don't owe it. And so they write it off, and $1,000 here and $500 there and, you know, $3,000 here. People who have the money, sadly, are more apt to pay that than other people. I'm a patient at Mayo Clinic. My husband was a patient at Mayo Clinic. I do believe that Mayo Clinic has the worst billing department known to man. I think they send out these bills and they hope that the demographic pays it. And most of the time they do. That's sad. I'm all about fairness. Is it right or is it wrong? I'm not here to help somebody get out of a bill they owe. It's incredibly important. I come from the provider side. Providers deserve to be paid, but they don't need to be hitting a home run on you when that's not the right, when they're billing you for the wrong amount. It needs to be accurate to the penny so that I can sleep at night and not worry about all those. I mean, to the penny, I need to understand where it comes from, why it's owed. Is there any way, any additional money that can be paid by any other carrier? And then we say, okay, that's okay for you to pay and you can go ahead and do it. So it gives peace of mind for so many people. People are sick. Their family members are sick. They don't need to worry about the financial part of it. And it is a burden. It is absolutely a burden on people to have to pull that stack out. I always say, you have this big stack of bills and you say, I'm going to do it on Saturday. I'm going to do it on Saturday. I'm going to get that thing taken care of. And Saturday money rolls around. You put it down in front of you. And you're like, I can't do it. And, you know, and you put it off to the side again because there's just no way I can tackle it. But it's hanging back there in the back of your head. And we're here to take that from you and take care of it for you so that you don't have to.
So they can show up at your office with a stack of their medical bills, and then they can show up at Adam's office with a stack of all their bank statements and just go, Adam, make it make sense. Mary, help me out.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Well, you summed that one up.
Mary, you said something when we were talking yesterday that I just thought was so profound. You said when you made the decision to move your husband to long-term care, it gave you the freedom to be his wife again. And in a certain sense, isn't that what you're giving through your advocacy? Is you are giving caregivers the chance to just be the loved ones again and not have to balance the financial and understanding what very realistically can be stacks and stacks of bills. It's not just one bill from the hospital. It's the anesthesiologist and it's the doctor and then it's the room and it piecemeals. And so it is very overwhelming. Is it safe to say that's the freedom you're giving back to caregivers?
It is. It is. There's a lot to be said for just, being the wife, being the loved one, being the one to hold their hand, to be there to talk to them. With Steve and certainly with dementia patients, so much of that was being the person who has to force him to take his medicine, force him to change his clothes, force him to take a shower, those things that he would be combative about that were so difficult. And so our relationship was combative many times because I had to be that person to do that. And having someone new to do that, being able to turn over those responsibilities to someone else was so precious because I got to go in and I got to just sit and have dinner with them. And we would lay in bed and watch the same TV that we watched before. I mentioned to you yesterday, we watched the news, Judge Judy and Family Feud. Every single night, it's just what we had on the TV. And it was very routine. And we both loved every bit of it. So for me to be able to actually, at home, I would never have time to go and get in bed and lay down with him when I had laundry to do and, cleaning up the kitchen and all of those types of things on a daily basis. I didn't have the time or the ability to do that. And once I placed him, that was certainly one of the benefits there. And it is absolutely one of the benefits that we give to our families so that you don't don't have to worry about that and you don't have to concentrate on that because they can let it go themselves. Mm-hmm. But then they're giving up knowing that the bills are accurate, that they're paying the right things, that they're not overpaying something. And that can be just as stressful certainly for people who are on a tight budget, who are having expenses they never thought, or having a loved one who can no longer work that they thought would be working another 5, 6, 7 years, which is what we thought for Steve. So it's a huge relief to not to have to worry about that and turn that burden over to somebody else so that you have the peace of mind to just be his wife or just be his daughter. It is incredibly valuable. And it's very rewarding, by the way. I mean, to be able to provide people with answers and with that peace is incredibly rewarding. So that's really one of the main reasons that I do it, to provide a service to people who truly need it.
Yeah, no, a lot of folks may be hearing this and listening. And if I was hearing this for the first time, I was like, well, you know what? This must be out of reach because it sounds like Mary and her team, like, hey, they put a lot of time, effort, energy into this stuff. They must charge an arm and a leg, to get this accomplished. How are you guys compensated for this valuable work that you do for others?
It really depends on the service. And I don't have a one size fits all for everybody. I said to the woman I spoke to this morning about her father who broke his hip, I'm not here to give you another bill. I'm not here to give you another headache. I'm as honest as they come. I'm here to help you and be compensated fairly. So it can look many different ways. It can be done. We have several levels of a monthly subscription service. So if this is a chronic disease or, they have cancer over a long period of time, we can have you pay anywhere from $197 to $1,000 a month to us handle it depending upon the time. It may start at a higher rate. We drop you down to a lower rate because the first month is generally the most comprehensive. Mm-hmm. That's where that stat comes in, and I've got to go through that. Once I get it organized, it can be very, very easy. We do it in packages. So some of our senior care it's $1,500 for us to do all of these services for you over these 3-month period of time, for example. We can do it by hourly. If we have, I'm going to go with a woman to her Mayo Clinic appointments in the next few days because she just can't comprehend what's happening and wants somebody there with her to help her hear the information. That's an hourly rate that we do. So I'm really, really cognizant of not charging an arm and a leg. I'm here to help. I'm not here to give you one other thing to stress about. And I can be paid very fairly for our time in those different packages. We also do high bill negotiation. So for people who find themselves, I get clients from time to time that find themselves between jobs. They don't have any insurance and they have an appendicitis and they have to go and they walk out of the hospital with a $150,000 bill. We do in those circumstances, we do a contingency fee. So if I don't save you any money off of that bill, which I will, but if I didn't, you don't pay me anything. And if I do, it can range from 5 to 15% of the savings that I give you that I can get for you. So it's always very affordable and it's always going to be a lot less expensive in terms of the medical billing side of it than you having to, I'm going to save you money somewhere, somehow, without question on every client that I have. So my goal, and I tell this to every single client when we talk for the first time, my goal is when you walk away, you say to me, that is the best money that I ever spent. Because if I don't save you in that money, the money that you paid me, I'm at least going to save you the time and the effort and the stress and the headache that it was going to cost you to have to deal with it yourself.
Yeah, that sounds like a steal. With the work and the not just the savings, but the peace of mind. It's huge.
Right. I don't want to be somebody who comes in and takes advantage of people. That's incredibly important to me. These are very vulnerable clients that are scared, that don't know what to do, that are facing the woman I spoke to this morning. She's like, I have no idea how this works. I mean, he was perfectly healthy until, July 25th when he fell. And so I'm lost. And so why do you need to reinvent the wheel? I have said many times, and I truly believe it, if you're getting health care in the system as it's set up today without an advocate, you are not going to get the same quality care that you would with an advocate. It's just a fact. It's sad. It's disappointing. It's frustrating, but it's a fact. You need an advocate to hold your hand and push back when my very best friend, her father has a hernia, is in pain every day, went to the surgeon in February. She just told me this a couple weeks ago, that they scheduled him. They couldn't fit him in until July. He's been living from February to July in pain every single day because his general surgeon couldn't fit him in. Okay, so we'll go to a different general surgeon. I mean, it's a general surgeon. This is as common a procedure as there is in the world. You don't need one over the other. Let's go into the emergency room. You can enter the emergency room and get that surgery done tomorrow. Interestingly enough, it was July 31st was his appointment for this surgery. He goes, his health has declined so much over the last 5 months, they won't do the surgery.
Oh, no.
Oh, man.
So he needed an advocate to say, and it's not his children's fault. They don't know. People don't know, right?
Sure.
To say, yeah, no, that's not going to work for us. If you can't get him in like next month, within the next 2 weeks, then we're going to go to someplace else and we're going to find someplace else who can do this surgery. It is very common surgery. You do not need to have, the number one general surgeon in the world to do it. There are many general surgeons in this town, and he should have gotten in with somebody right away. He's been living with pain and his son is telling me he's sitting in his wheelchair. He's not doing anything. He's not going anywhere. I mean, I think he may have given up simply because he didn't get the quality of care that he would have gotten with an advocate. And it's not their fault. People don't know, they just don't know what they don't know. And so being that personality to say, yeah, that's not going to work for us. Can you do better? Because if you can't, we're just going to take our business elsewhere. It's about being an educated consumer, by the way.
Yep.
I mean, we are a consumer of our medical care, and no other industry, no other, area do you go into that you don't know the price of what you're going to pay until after it's over, number one. And number two, that people feel intimidated enough that they can't talk back to their doctor. They can't say, yeah, no. I mean, my father-in-law used to make him crazy. I would call in, the doctor's leaving the room and I'd be like, no. Wait, come back. I'm not quite finished. I have a few more questions I need to ask you. And he would pretend to just be, oh my God, I can't believe you talked to the doctor that way. But then very happy that, by the way, that I was always accompanying him, when he was in the hospital so that somebody asked and it didn't have to be him. So you need an advocate. You just do. Like you need a wealth manager, like you need an accountant, like you need an attorney. You need somebody who knows how to do this and can get it done for you.
Let me add one thing, sort of on a lighter note, Mary. Okay, so you were a dishwasher for how many months?
3 months.
Okay, so I had my first job in high school when my dad brought to me I said, what is that, Dad? He goes, oh, it's the State Farm car insurance bill. I'll pay for it. You pay me back. You need a job, Adam, other than, raking leaves and cutting grass. So I went to go work for McDonald's, and that was the worst 3 months job I'd ever had in my life. My second job, however, was the second worst job I'd ever had in my life until I got promoted. So I was the dishwasher. There was another name for it, but I was a dishwasher for multiple months until I got promoted to sandwich and salad maker. And there were hundreds, if not thousands of dishes over the course of a night with goop and gop and all this mess. And I did it. I didn't complain, but I was so happy to get promoted to salad and sandwich maker. That was one of the best days of my life. I don't know how you did all those dishes and for all those months.
Well, my sister said to me when I was getting the job and had to go through all this training, 20 hours of videos and, TV tests and COVID tests and background fingerprints, the whole 9 yards, which was quite impressive. I was happy to see that, that they're not letting just anybody in there. But she said to me, you don't think they're actually going to make you wash dishes, do you? And I said, oh, no, I think they're going to make me wash dishes.
I watched the video.
Yeah, right. And the first day I did lunch and dinner dishes, 5 hours, and I will tell you, I'm a bit on the OCD side, hence the staying up all night if I'm a penny off of this reconciliation. But, so the dishes were cool. I got a little rhythm going with the dishes and I could get that going. There were 3 different units that would come in, 3 different shifts. It was interesting though. The staff, the kitchen staff wasn't overly thrilled about me being there. This had gone viral over being a dishwasher and it felt they were not overly thrilled. So they would do one woman in particular would leave things for me, like the big, huge silver pot with grits in it from the breakfast that would just sit not soaking all day long. I never complained. I always gave them the utmost respect that I appreciate so much. And I do. The cleanliness of the kitchen was really impressive. I didn't mind the dishes. It was the mopping the floor. It was my responsibility to mop the floor. That was the part that was really, that was difficult. That was the most difficult part of it. But it's just amazing that opened this door to not only in Florida, I mean, literally tens of thousands of people got to go back in because the governor heard the story and the governor came and talked to me and allowed us to reopen. And then what it has led to across the United States, it's just hard to really believe. I told Alyssa yesterday, with all the work that I've done in medical practice through the years, I truly believe that I have worked my entire career to be where I am today, that this is, God has put me here for a reason. And I feel very, very strongly that I have a responsibility to fulfill that for my husband, but for other people too, that we can really help and make a difference in the world. So I feel like it's a huge silver lining to Steve's illness. What a blessing, to something that was so horrible and so terrible, but to be able to have such an impact on for so many people has been quite the blessing for me. So I'm very grateful.
Amazing. It's amazing. The power of one voice that's just willing to stand up and say something.
I tell people I'm not special, by the way. I'm not. I mean, anybody can do it. I'll help you. I'll help show the way for you. I told Alyssa as well. My mantra through the whole thing was that I empower caregivers to boldly advocate for their loved ones so that they can look back with no regrets. And I'm happy to have been able to do that, still doing that for a lot of people. And I'm living a life of no regrets. And that's incredibly powerful.
Amen to that.
Well, Mary, if somebody is interested in your services and wanting to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do so?
I have a website, DanielAdvocacyGroup.com. You can also Google woman takes job as dishwasher and it pops up from those viral days. So I'm very much out there. Mary S. Daniel. I do some speaking and I've got a website there too, for my maiden name, Shannon. But I would love to, if nothing else, to have a conversation with people and let them know that I'm available to help them if they ever have any questions, any concerns. I'll sit on the phone for 30 minutes without even thinking about it with somebody, just to be able to give them a little bit of information so that they can feel empowered to go out there and do the work themselves. I would love to help people do that as well. So I'm always here.
Well, again, that website is DanielAdvocacyGroup.com. And of course, Adam, remind all of our listeners how they can get in touch with you as well.
Yeah, wolfretirement.com, and our phone number for clients, 904-232-8760. And then, if for some reason down the road, hey, you know what? I remember that podcast. Talk to, who is that person again? And she did such great work. Give us a call. Andrea, Robin will have that Mary's information for you, her company's information for you, and we can refer it out that way. So, hey, and I want to leave you with one more thing, guys, that I may be the only man in the world now that knows how to properly load a dishwasher. So that's something I learned early on. And, but I don't only have a couple, I only have a couple nightmares every year now due to that job I had. So, but other than that, I'm doing fine.
Well, again,
it's good for you, right? It's good for us.
Builds character. That's what I tell my kids. Building character.
Exactly.
Well, again, those websites, DanielAdvocacyGroup.com and WolfRetirement.com. And of course, we'd love it if you shared this episode with a loved one or a friend who's maybe in the midst of the storm and looking for a way out. And of course, as always, we'd love it if you come back again. Thanks for joining us.
Investment advisory services offered through Coil Capital, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Wolf Retirement Navigation, LLC, and Coil Capital, LLC are not affiliated. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. No investment strategy can guarantee a profit or protect against loss in periods of declining values. Opinions expressed are subject to change without notice and are not intended as investment advice or to predict future performance. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Consult your financial professional before making any investment decision. This information is designed to provide general information on the subjects covered. It is not, however, intended to provide specific legal or tax advice and cannot be used to avoid tax penalties or to promote, market, or recommend any tax plan or arrangement. Please note that Wolf Retirement Navigation, LLC and its affiliates do not give legal or tax advice. You are encouraged to consult your tax advisor or attorney. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurer. Any references to protection or benefits or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products or services. Fixed insurance and annuity product guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing company and not offered by Coil Capital, LLC. Florida Insurance License Number W016816.